Welcome to the Right Here, Right Now live show. This show has one simple question. What's on your heart and mind right here, right now in this moment? We explore the depths and breadths of our humanity through that one simple question over the course of 30 to 45 minutes. I hope that you'll join us. I hope you'll enjoy the exploration. And this tune was created for me personally by the incredible Peter Griffiths, one half of the amazing Mind Takeaway. Do let us know what you think, let us know what you take away, and of course, we always welcome challenges. Hello, world. Whether you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, or my tiny Facebook page with about 3 people, welcome to this amazing exploration. I've got, look on the screen, Michelle Hart, David St. Martin, Mike Vacanti, Vivian Aqua, Tony McClellan. Like, if you want to see the future of leadership, it's on this screen. Stop reading books, stop wasting time spending millions on development, come to these 5 people. However, we've got a real reason for being here today. There was a really big event last week. Well, if you like football, which I know Tony and Michelle do in particular. But before we explore what we learned about last week, and in particular, some pretty nasty stuff on the back end of last week, let's do a round of introductions. So, Michelle, tell the world about who you are for those that may not know you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Hart. The clue's in the title, as I keep being told. I'm really into heart-centered spaces and compassionate leadership, and I want to explore that as much as possible because I believe it's key to making organisations thrive.
Thank you, Michelle. Tony McClellan, lovely intro from you, please, my friend.
Hi, and thank you for having me, first of all. And I would like to call myself a critical friend, always reflective, background in social impact, social justice and social mobility. And I feel like I've devoted my life to understanding people more. The more I understand them, the more I understand the problem and the closer I get to the solution. So thank you for having me here, Gary.
Amazing. Thanks, Tony. Vivian, the Vivian Aqua. Oh, I think we've got you on mute.
I can see that. I'm so sorry for making that mishap. Hi, my name is Vivian Aqua. I call myself the Inclusive Workplace Wellness Advocate, and I'm committed to make workplace wellness and DEI accessible for everybody. So my last name, it does mean water, and I'm being hired for putting fires related towards DEI, putting them out, but I would rather help you with preventing these fires from happening.
Beautiful. Wow. That's wow. David.
I'm David St. Martin, affectionately known as the Saint. And for over 20 years now, I've been helping global businesses hire the right talents between marketing and creative. But I'm passionate about building resilience in individuals and organizations. So there's 4 pillars I concentrate on: self-awareness, self-actualization, self-discipline, and self-belief. So I'm currently studying and researching psychology and cognitive behavioral therapy. And I'm also building up a network of neuroscientists, psychologists, and counselors to help me accelerate my learning and my traits in resilience. I'll finish off by saying that I love infusing life and leadership. And my mission's simple. I want to continually add value whilst creating an environment that leaves people better, not broken.
Beautiful. Thanks, Saint. Definitely not least, but he is last for now, Mr. Vacanti.
Hello, all. It's really, really fun to be here with all of you. And you know that, like, my heart gets full whenever I have the opportunity to be in a room, even like this virtually, with all of you. What I see that is so aligned is I just have a simple mission to lift others, and it's after many years of experience doing business and other things, there was a lot missing. And we have been causing pain for so long, and we can do better. It's really that simple. So I wrote a book called Believership. I've had the great pleasure of engaging many people around the world through Humans First. And I just really believe that entering each day with curiosity, the ability to listen, that we can do so much better than our current state. And that's what I'm excited to jump into today. We have a very, very positive message, and then a very challenging message. And I'm just really excited to explore that. So I'm Mike Vacanti. I'm in the United States. I'm the oddball in this group of 6 here, but it's a pleasure to be with everybody.
You're not the only oddball. I'm with you, mate, in that basket. Don't worry. And finally, myself. So I'm Gary Turner, a change catalyst, and I'm getting clearer actually that I'm working at the intersection of 4 main areas: education, disruption, innovation, and something else I've forgotten about. So shows I'm still getting used to it, so it's fine. What I want to kick off with is 2 massive areas of appreciation. One, Mike, I think everyone on this screen have found one another because of the amazing Humans First community that you had the courage to create several years ago. We wouldn't be here now had you not actually had the courage to go against the grain and go, hey, we can connect on a human level and not just have to pay our way into connection. So respect to you. And Michelle, we're here because you wrote a brilliant blog. Yeah. You copied us and said, hey, I think you've got some thoughts. Like, my God, yes, we have, Michelle. And you were the catalyst for today. And again, I appreciate every one of you, as you know, but I just wanted to acknowledge both of you, because I think as we go into this conversation today, it is this network effect. It is connection. It is listening. It is understanding. It's our humanity that I know is the difference between where we've been and where we can be. So let's kick off, Michelle, because you were the amazing person that created that blog. So tell us a little bit. Last week was football. You love it. I prefer a rugby-shaped ball, to be honest. But I did enjoy watching the tournament. I think it taught us a lot of lessons. So let's start with you, and we'll go popcorn style. Just people chip in as and when they feel moved. But maybe you can start us off, Michelle, with how did you find the experience of the tournament, and what did you learn from it?
First of all, I hope everyone's happy to do a round of applause for the England team, because there's been a lot of negative stuff that's been going on. So I wanted to say that first. And I got so stirred and moved, actually, by talking to a few people about the event and what happened after the football, that I started to look up the footballers, and they're not just footballers. And there are some amazing, amazing work they're doing. Most of you will know about Marcus Rashford, I'm sure, and his work with school meals. But there's some great stuff from Jordan Henderson, raising money for the NHS, to Tyrone Mings, who has been recently challenging politicians. You know, Luke Shaw, who he didn't ignore 2 boys hit their own team, ignored them. So he went over and had a photo, even though it was an opposing team. You know, I could go on and on and on. What I want to mention is Bukayo Saka. He got A's and A stars in his GCSEs because his parents insisted he worked as hard in the classroom as he did on the football pitch. And his Christian name in Yoruba means adds happiness. So I really, I've got loads and loads of what they do here, and I'm happy to share it. But what I want to say, principally, before I kick it out to everybody else, is these people are not just footballers. They are changing humanity. They're changing people's lives. Anybody who's seen Marcus Rashford, his poster in Manchester will know it's now covered with messages of compassion. We don't want the world to be the way it is right now. And I think that people want it to change too. And this is a minority, but I want to open it up to people to talk about this more. But well done, England.
Yeah, thanks for starting with that, Michelle. And I love your curiosity, as Mike spoke to actually go and do that research to understand the whole human. And for me, that's been one of my biggest lessons of watching the games I did in the tournament and Gareth Southgate's leadership. Far from perfect, which leader is, made mistakes, we all do. but he allowed his players to be whole human beings. He encouraged them to be whole human beings on and off the pitch. And that was one of my biggest learnings of the tournament. I want to throw it over, maybe Vivian, it's probably quite a good segue into you with your work around DEI. What's your sort of experience been, whether you watch the football or just the aftermath of it? What are your thoughts? Thanks.
I watch some elements of the football, but I have a love and hate relationship with football. But what I see is that amazing young people are changing the world, and they are being penalized for reaching number 2, which has never been done in a while in the UK, right? And we are not celebrating their wins. We are penalizing them with a fixed mindset. And I just want to say, for the people that had negative things to say about these youngsters, come to my house and eat pepper soup. I will serve you the hottest pepper soup. And if you are alive after that pepper soup, then we can have an honest conversation, because they all deserve to be held accountable. And I feel like the Prime Minister, all the people that spoke out that have power, have been keeping themselves quiet. And the reason why I'm saying that, just sharing, we disapprove these statements doesn't help hold people accountable. We need to hold them accountable in their work. We need to hold them accountable in their stadiums. And UEFA also needs to step up in the play, because we all know that systematic racism, it is the root of all evil within football.
Great.
Yep. Powerful. Feel free to popcorn. Tony, maybe you've got something you'd like to build on that.
Gosh, my heart's just getting warm as I'm listening. So I have to just pace myself. But I just kind of feel like these footballers and Gareth Southgate, what they have done is they're doing things that not even the government are doing. You know, it's not their responsibility to do campaigns around free school meals. It's not their responsibility to lift the nation, you know, when we're going through a pandemic. We look to the leaders to be able to do this, and yet the leaders are not doing it, you know, in the way that we want them to be. You know, they're not even supporting with the kneeling on the pitch. You know, there's some statements around that. I know that we've got the levelling out agenda at the moment, and I would really love to see how that rolls out. However, I just feel that it starts at the top. And if the top were doing what they should have been doing, we wouldn't be in this space. It's not the footballers' responsibility to be lifting morale and lifting spirits through a pandemic, because that's really what they've done. They lifted everybody, brought everyone together, you know, and that whole community spirit. It's like suddenly we've got something to look forward to that the government couldn't provide. No one was able to provide that, but the footballers were able to do that, and they took us to the brink of it. Sorry if I start getting animated, but they actually took us to the brink, and unfortunately we didn't cross the line with that win. However, they lifted the whole nation, and I saw 2 football sides coming together when Christian from the other team had his heart attack. Everybody was coming together, opponents, everybody won in the same space. And I know that it's a different scenario, however, but it gave me a lot of hope. So I think I'll just leave that there just for a moment, that, you know, we shouldn't really be looking to our footballers to be lifting and doing this work, but they have made a massive shift for morale.
This is huge for me. I'm going to pop it over to Mike because I know you're going to have some really interesting stuff on there. The thing I want to pick up on what you just shared, just to be really explicit, yeah, we don't have the leadership in the traditional sense from the top down, but my goodness, we've got some self-leadership from these players and from every one of you on this bloody screen. I see more leadership in your respective spaces in the last 3 years than I've ever seen in any institution. So, Mike, there's the baton for you.
No pressure.
You know me so well, right? And so thank you, Gary. And that's exactly what's running through my mind is, you know, we get a team, right? A football team that does incite, ignite a whole nation, all of the people around them. And the compassionate leadership that we were first, acknowledging is the way that each individual was invited and then encouraged to be their full selves, that there wasn't a simple doctrine that they had to follow. They could bring themselves in their individuality. And so that collective in a microcosm of a team becomes a great example. And even the players that have now been maligned by, faceless outsiders, right? Cowards that have maligned them. We know that those players are embraced and loved within that group, that microcosm that they exist. They still are supported, even though the layers outside, the faceless, nameless cowards have attacked. So I think that really represents what that goodness is. And the purpose of that is the relationships they have with each other, and there's interdependencies to succeed together. And they succeeded at a phenomenal level. It's an interesting thing also because the attacks came because they missed their free kicks at the end of the game, right? In the shootout. And I think there's an interesting fact here that few people know. I looked it up and thought it was really interesting, is because of the pressure of taking those penalty kicks, those free kicks in the shootout at the end of a match. The pressure's so high that all the players have the ability to say no to being put in that position. And several players do. So I want to acknowledge this to start with, is these three young men stepped up and said, I will put myself in that risky situation with a chance to succeed for all. And I think that in itself, that bravery to step into that role where others stepped away from that role. I think, first of all, we have to look at, Tony called them lions today. She said, I see 3 lions in a post she put out. And that is bravery. They stepped into that position of risk, and they now have taken the ridicule. So there's a lot in the human element of that. I think the microcosm of a team is important to look at. And then Gary knows this about me, is like, we live in this silliness of expecting politicians, institutions to correct some of this. And my challenge is, I would like to see where that's ever paid off, where that's ever panned out and goodness has been brought, right? Because there always is a secondary agenda with people in those positions, right? So if they can politicize it and gain from it, they will use that. That has nothing to do with the inner workings of a team. And I make that distinction for this reason, is when we come together like this, the 6 of us and those joining us online in this conversation, we can do so much more than any institution can do. And I think we put our energy in the wrong place. If we put it into each other and our microcosms and the impact that can make on a whole nation as a team does, we can do so much more than attaching ourselves to some politician or political idealism that seems to be greater in creating divide than unity. So, gosh, I'm going to step down now, but I just believe in that so fully. I believe in each of you. I believe in each of those players. And I want to, first of all, acknowledge kudos, wrap my arms around and give my full support to those brave enough to step into that area of high risk and stand tall, because I would back them up every minute of every day.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting reflection, that, Mike, for me, and I wasn't aware of that. not consciously. And I think, how profound is that? Like, how it's huge. I want to pass this over to Saint, and then we'll go popcorn after we've heard from Saint. But what really come up for me powerfully, Mike, as you were speaking, was think about, and I'm really sitting in this right now in this moment. We're talking about energy, like connection, community. There was so much belief in that team last week. We could feel it across the world, how connected this country, but also anybody that cared about that result, was in that moment to that specific belief system. That means we can do that again with anything. So I just wanted to put that out there, like, as we discuss, like, that feeling, that can be normal if we're all going in the right direction enough around the stuff that matters. So I'm just going to hold that and throw that out as a bit of a seed. And Saint, we'd love to come to you, and then we'll go popcorn after Saint.
Yeah, exactly. I think the big takeaway for me is we talk about the leadership piece around Gareth Southgate, and I don't know if you read his statement after or on the Monday, and he said it's all down to him. Now, he decided on the penalty takers. He decided based on the penalty takers and what they achieved, the players achieved in training, and no one's on their own. Nobody's on their own. They won it together as a team, and they lost as a team. And in terms of the penalties, he took complete responsibility, and it rests on him. So when I look at that as a leadership methodology on how he's approached that, coming to the nation and explaining exactly what's happened, I look at how many times myself as a leader over the years, when I've given that responsibility away from me, that I should be responsible for the team around me, the buck does stop with me. And there has been many times, and I've learned and I've grown from that, where, you know, if the team do not have the resources, the nurturing environment for them to perform at their best, I have to take responsibility for that. And I think, you know, kudos to the team. And so much has been said over the last couple of days, and bravery is a word which I think we all know exactly what it means. And so many people have spoke about the bravery. Well, the players, they kick thousands of balls every week in the hope that they score a goal. For me, it's the courage. You know, the courage to do what they've done. Let's remember, they don't get paid to play for their country. So that's highlighted. I'm not a football fan, but I came together as part of a nation to celebrate the tremendous success that they had. But that's what it comes down to now, is the ability as us to pull together, to have the courage. As a 46-year-old man, I couldn't do that. And you've got 19-year-old players, young men, that have done what they've done, is just incredible. But as you say, the leadership piece is, I think, where a lot of businesses are now going to look at the sports analogy and the mindset around what's happened and try to pick from that to put that into their own teams.
Yeah, I just think that you've just said some key things there, Saint, because I know what a state I was in, and I'm not even on the pitch. You know, I woke up on Monday morning and my husband said to me, "Do you want to talk about it?" And I said no. And he asked me later on in the day, "Do I want to talk about it?" But this time, you know, by this time I'd seen videos and it was a different feeling. When he was asking me the first time, that was just on the loss. So that was just how I was feeling. So can you imagine multiplying that by 1,000 for them players? I couldn't do it. I don't think I would have just gone to mush on the pitch. So when you think about that, and then the other piece of it as well is that you think of the aftermath and all the rest of it. If they'd have won, there's still pressure, public eye, all the rest of it. If they'd have scored, if they miss, you've still got the you know, there's still trauma that could potentially come from this. They're 90. One of them is 19 years old. So when you think about the trauma, and we talk about mental health, mental well-being, come on, let's just think about the bigger picture and the bigger impact here. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that just put this into context. Multiply it by 1,000. I know how I felt and still feeling right now. So
I wanted to build upon what you just shared right now, because in my mind I was thinking like for us normal people, when we face trauma in the workplace that has to do with racial trauma, it leaves a scar. I'm still dealing with the scar that I faced at the time when I was dealing with my maternal wall bias. Imagine that trauma being amplified. Imagine the whole world carrying that. I know that at the moment, they are getting a lot of support, but you all know as well that it takes a lot of good things to to erase all the negative hate. And I hope that they get the therapy that they need, because this will impact them for life. It will have an impact for life. And I want us to normalize mental health. I want us to ban mental health, but I also want us to own our stakeholdership in this. Even though the government is not doing, it's just sharing words, we as consumers, we are also stakeholders. We can challenge the companies that are aligned with UEFA. We can challenge them in different ways by buying different things, by taking ownership of our stakeholder ownership as well. We have the power to change the narrative, but we have to activate that as well.
I love this. If I'm just going to pop in quickly, because I really love, like, we're sort of halfway through now, and we're like, Vivian's taken us brilliantly to what I think would be really valuable for our second half of our conversation, which is we've set the scene, we've shared some learnings. Like, what's some of the actionable steps that someone watching this with it now or in the future could take to try and become that ally, or to maybe challenge the status quo? And I'll give you a real life example. Following last week, I'm a very big advocate for diversity, equity, inclusion. I speak about it a lot within my day job, but we don't talk about this sort of topic enough. And what I mean by that is, I've asked the question, why aren't we using this case study of last week in Lunch and Learns? Let's do that. Not heard anything yet. I'm sure we'll get there. But my point is, that's a really simple little step that I can take as an employee to say, this matters to me. Can we talk about this in the workplace? Because I think it's important. And I think every one of us can do that, whether we're serving third-party clients, whether we work for a corporation, whether it's just with our families at home. Like, what are we doing to actually engage with this conversation? So I just wanted to kick that off on top of Vivian's comment. Like, so yeah, please do, Vivian.
I only have one thing. Let's learn from Basecamp. Let's learn from what happened to Basecamp when they wanted to exclude the things that are happening, I think it was during their private time, where they were putting some names. And if you don't know the item, Google it, Basecamp discrimination diversity. When you Google it, we need to be able to bring our personal life and our professional lives together. We need to bring our whole selves. That's it.
I can follow that if I'm allowed. Yeah, it's I've been having, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, I've been having real deep talks with Tony about variety stuff. She's amazing, just amazing. But anyway, she's been a brilliant mentor and coach to me, really, about thinking about things deeper and having a deeper insight. And as a consequence, we're looking at doing some compassionate leadership work. I won't say any more on that, but well, we are doing some compassionate leadership work. But if you're interested, get in touch. But yeah, in my other life, when I go into organisations, I've kicked off allyship. I've done some things. I've signed a petition. You talk about the government, Vivian. I've signed a petition for lifetime bans for racists at football events. That is now about 1.2 million. So we need to get it higher, but then they will take it to government. And yeah, anything I can do or try and do, I will promote Vivian's Amplify DEI conference massively. That's another great way to learn. The work of Humans First, I'm an ambassador for those. Those are the ways that I try and make a difference. That's obviously the work of Mike. And, I've connected with David. I've connected with all of you on various things. But yeah, that's where I'm trying to get into the space and trying to create some activity. But yeah, that's my bit.
I love that, Michelle, and I think it does fit so well into what Gary prompted us, is the opportunity to have these conversations where we are, right? And so whatever circle, and again, I think a team is a fine example, but each of us go into some arena every day, and there's others in that arena with us. What's the conversation? And how we show up in that is our great opportunity. And so we see in this case, there's we know that those players that have, that are at the center right now, they are famous. They do have a platform, and they're using it well. So kudos to them for that. But we also have that opportunity to see everyone in those arenas that we're in every day. And we don't ask, when have you been maligned for missing a penalty kick that I didn't even know you felt like you missed a penalty kick. Like, I didn't even know that was in your heart or on your mind when you went through some situation that I was ignorant, I was unaware of, because I didn't ask the question. I just went with my assumptions. So think of that, my assumptions from a 60-year-old white male sitting in the northern tier of the United States is like, there's a lot of room to grow. And so that, and I look at the gray hair in those 60 years, and I've learned a lot over that time, which gives me now the capacity to build on that. And you can only do that with curiosity. And that curiosity is, Vivian, what was that experience for you? I saw this happening, but Tony, what was that like for you when we were in that situation together? I felt it went this way, but I never asked, did that feel like missing a penalty kick for you? Were the eyes on you? Did you feel maligned? And we can do better. And that's where we can each make an impact every day in the little arena that we're standing in at every moment. And I think that's a great encouragement, Gary. And I love all of you for your willingness to be here together in this arena and have that conversation and learn from each other, because each perspective is valuable.
And can I just come in here, Gary?
Tony, fire away. We're popcorning. Go for it, my friend.
Yeah, because I'm really just thinking about some of the things that Mike has just said as well, and obviously on the back of what Michelle has said, because we jointly came up with this quote about compassionate leadership, and if I may just share it with you, it's what we feel is an intuitive, heart-led, action-orientated approach that builds real human connection and outcomes, not only for the individual, but for the organization and culture. Now, that's something that Michelle and I have kind of come together on. But what it makes me think about is not only this particular case, Gary, when we think about compassion and leadership and taking action, but it makes me think about, there was another case that has added to my stirring, over the last few days. And that was the case of the police officer that killed this young lady, and for me, I really, really suffered with it. And I couldn't sleep that particular night because of everything that was going around with that. And the colleagues that were saying that they saw these signs, they had nicknames, but they just didn't take action. They didn't take action. And this is what happens when you see something, but you don't take action. And it's really that whole thing around these footballers. They took action. They conjured up this whole stir of positive emotion when they took action. A young lady is bereaved, dead, because people didn't take action. And it makes me think about particular professions and how this comes together under particular professions as well. Is is there too much compassion in a particular profession, and how does that come through? That's what it conjured up for me, because obviously police are there to protect us, and should they show too much compassion? Should they care too much? They didn't care enough for this young lady, and I feel really, really quite strongly about that as well. Just throw that in.
It's thanks for bringing it up, Tony. Because what I'm loving about this exploration, and we've covered it, six human beings, clear diversity on the screen. We've gone in millions of different directions. What we're coming back to surprise, surprise, Mike, humans first. Like, we are equally human first. Like, and at some point we've got to realize that. And I'm not devaluing DEI. I'm not devaluing racial justice. And so, like, all of that is critically important work. But we're only going to get that to work if we see each other as humans first. Like, and I just think we're exploring that today, right now. Like, there's no judgment. There's no, oh, you're from that background, or this is the role you do. Like, there's no labels in this conversation. And that's what I want people to see and feel. This is what happens. This is what can happen every single day in 35 minutes if we see each other as humans without labels. So I just had to pop that in there because I just think it's a brilliant example of what's possible.
But it's a good segue, Gary, to your first line of your poem.
Oh, shucks.
You
It
must.
is, isn't it?
You
It
must.
is, isn't it?
You have to now. You have to.
What's that first line? We are all equally human.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I can't quote it now, Vivian. We don't have the time, but I'll do it. I'm going to do it on another occasion.
Oh,
we will have our eyes on you. You have to share that. You have to share that.
Oh,
Dennis Matoko's shared it. So if you want to see the poem, which is amazing, I would look up this catalyst.
Bless you,
You're
Michelle.
not getting away with it, Gary.
Bless you, Michelle. But you know, I am Mr. Vulnerable, so I'm going to share that as we continue to popcorn. So I had what happened last week moved me so much that I actually wrote a poem. I've never written a poem, and it's not because I didn't think I could. I couldn't. There was no limiting belief. I just never did it. But something happened last night after that conversation with my new friend Frank. Something flew through me, and it just came out in a different way. Instead of talking about it or recording it, it's power. Yeah, so I guess it is sort of linked to this, which is how do we create the space to allow our whole humanity to be explored in the workplace in particular? Open question. Maybe Saint or Mike's got something to pop in.
Thanks, Gary. I mean, just thinking about that. One for me, humans tend to have a tendency towards homophily. So, you know, it means we like to hang around people who are like us or who think like us. That actually, when we kind of mirror back to our own perspectives or our own beliefs or even our own prejudices, it actually makes us feel comfortable when we're around people, and it makes us feel sometimes smarter as well. And for me, when we start hanging around other human beings, we have an instinctive ability to create a human group that are not cognitively as diverse. And where I'm going with that is the fact that what's happened the last couple of days is the fact that there's just a group of individuals sharing the same prejudices, the same just mirrored perspective on what they feel is in their eyes the right thing, versus we have to challenge because what's right and what's wrong. And I think that the more we go down that route of not necessarily wanting to seek out those that are attracted to similarity of us and actually break that mold, it will enable us to open up a lot more around creating new environments intrinsically and within the workplace as well.
I love that so much, Saint. You know, I think every day, and it's, you know, again, back to that mission of lift others, and as simple as that is, it is the energy, because it's all hands on deck, right? For all of us to, like, we could put a list together of what things are going really well right now, right? And it might challenge us, and it might not be a really long list. If we put a list together of what's going wrong right now, what's broken, right? It would flow. There'd be a long list. It would come very rapidly. That's a good thing, right? So there's work to do. Like, this is a great time to be alive. There's a lot of work to do, and we're all welcome to step into whatever we can bring. And it's all hands on deck. And that's why we don't go back to a small circle of small-minded and status quo ideology. It has to be everyone, and everyone that's ready to step in, that has the bravery to be on the pitch in that heightened moment and take the kick.
Mm-hmm.
score or not score, own it. And again, that's our great opportunity. There's a lot of work to do. It's a great time to step in. And I just feel blessed to be with all of you in this team to step into that moment. We've got a lot of work to do. It's a good time to be alive.
Yes.
I just noticed something. Just thinking about the commonality between us all is you've all got a creative streak in you somewhere. So just to prove my example, Vivian, amazing use of like imagery and colors and promotion, and it's just amazing what you do. Gary, we know you've got your poetry. Tony has been doing some fabulous quotes that she's been putting out on her social media, some really, really deep, insightful stuff. David, I've worked with you on the tech side. He is that way. Oh no, that way. The camera. He's just he's incredible in that space, and the way that the color that you use as well. Mike, you're just a brilliant public speaker. You're just fantastic and phenomenal. And I do wonder if there's this kind of creativity, and we create creative hubs by being in a diverse group like this, and we all pull on each other. Can I popcorn that around? Sorry, I'm taking over your show, Gary.
Yes, you can take over. Sorry, Tony, I'll follow you.
No, I was just going to say, and to add to that, because ultimately, just feeding off what you've just said and Mike said, we've created this space, a psychologically safe space. I've heard Gary refer to it as brave spaces. And we are in a space where we can challenge each other, support each other, and we can go away feeling, everything's good because I've learned from this or not, or whatever that is. There's no angst. What I'm finding at the moment in my work is that they're in the middle, where we're encouraging that challenge, as Saint was just saying. We're encouraging people to come out and challenge it. Speak up. However, they're being chastised on the other side. Yeah. And so it's about where's that balance? People are fearful. They've come out, then we've knocked them 3 steps backwards. People aren't talking, that we need to talk. So that's the piece that I'm working through with organizations in the middle, about finding that balance, because we have to get it right. And what Mike was just saying about come out, challenge. Yes. We all need to be doing that. We need to be feeling brave about doing that and knowing that actually we're going to be supported when we do, in terms of and that links in with what Vivian was saying earlier on. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Tony, that is gold dust, right? My whole upper body and head is buzzing like an absolute Christmas tree. And let me tell you why. What better example of what those 3 amazing human beings went through? They stood up. We asked them to challenge. We asked them to try and win it for us. They missed their penalties. So what? Any of us could and would. And they got chastised. What happened with the England football team is identical to what you just described happening in organisations.
Absolutely.
Exactly the same challenge.
Absolutely. And that's based on what Mike was saying as well, because we could replicate that. What's happening with the government, we could look at that as a whole organisation, and everything in Britain is a whole, is the organisational culture that's leading from the top. So it's there.
I want to add this into, because most of you all know Orlando, and Orlando at the age of 4 knows about the principles of the growth mindset. So what we are missing in the workplace is sharing with each other, supporting each other to embrace this growth mindset, because out of failure comes magic. Let's embrace that. Let's see failures or the mistakes that we are making. Let's see that as lessons. Let's embrace that, because the light bulb wasn't created at once. The iPhone wasn't created at once. We leave the beta testing. We leave that outside. We don't talk about it, assuming that all the magic happens at once. You need to fall, stand up, fall, and create your resiliency muscle. We need to get real about how much time it takes to build a product. We need to get real about activating growth mindset in the workplace. Again, my son, when he was 4, he knows about that. And he calls us upon that when we are activating our fixed mindset. I want you to deactivate your fixed mindset as well.
Wow.
And that's an action we can all take, yeah? And that takes courage, back to the point, sharing, I think what I'm most excited about this conversation, right? Like, there's been no scripting. We all agreed on the back of Michelle's brilliant post, let's just get together and explore this. So my invitation, if you're watching us now or you watch this back, I'm sorry, you've just got probably €500,000 worth of free consultancy in the last 45 minutes. Seriously, like if you actually dissect and pull apart the insights, the sharing, the learning, the practices that you can set up right now with your teams, like you've got $500,000 worth of free consultancy. Use this conversation to drive the change that you need, but you're probably scared because that fixed mindset to actually engage with. Come to any one of these 5 people plus me and ask for their support to help you with that, because the reason we're here is we care about the football team and how those 3 youngsters were treated, but we care about you as well. We know that we need to be better. We cannot perpetuate what's been before anymore. We just cannot. Like, it's dead, it's dying, it's decaying. Don't think it's coming back. It's not. And we're here to make sure that the door slams on that, by the way, because it hasn't worked for a very long time. Now, I don't normally get this passionate on a live, but I just thought I'd share that. Sorry, Mike, you had something to say.
No, I love that encouragement, Gary, and I want to stay there for a moment. And so most of you know, like, you never hear me talk about my work. Like, what do I do outside my passion projects, right? And like, even this afternoon, 3:30 my time, I'm in a meeting with a technology company that, would be in the top 10 of technology companies that each of you could list, right? And we're having the conversation of doing exactly this, of where does digital transformation and DEI and all of that come together? It comes together in each of the people on your team. And that is the teaching and the learning. And to a degree, through all of our collective work, we do that. So, mine's specific to go after that, but each of us brings those practices in. And that's the amazing beauty, is we have the opportunity to stop looking for the one silver bullet, the magic bullet that's going to open all that up, because it doesn't exist. There is not one best way to do anything. There are multiple ways to do the right thing. And I think each of you, and the work you do and the practices and the open sharing you bring to the world, exemplifies that. There are many, many paths to the right place, the right direction. And I love all of you and the opportunity to do that. And then I'm also realizing I miss you, Vivian. Like, I'm just I just have that feeling. I miss you so much. So thank you for bringing that up, Gary. It is a professional endeavor. It is not it's not just a goodwill endeavor. It's a professional endeavor. This is the way forward to enhance your business, create sustainable environments, and bring the best people in so you can succeed forever.
And you make more money as an outcome. Get over it. It's ridiculous. Like, you make more money by doing it through your human beings. Hello. Sorry, Tony.
Not only make more money, but save money, because now a lot of companies are throwing money away because of these DEI fires.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen lots of DEI fires as well. And that's why, when I'm talking about what I do, I just talk about the people part, because it always comes down to that, the people, regardless of what's going on in the organization, whether it's the staff, clients, stakeholders, it's always people. So the more you understand the people, the better you understand how to maneuver through that. But I just wanted to pick up on something that Saint touched on earlier on, and that was about the accountability piece and what Gareth Southgate said, because it's about accountability and responsibility. And so often I go into organizations and there is no accountability. no responsibility. No, but we're always looking for blame. It's Michelle's fault, Vivian's fault, Mike's fault. And we sit in this blame piece instead of looking at the solution. And so what Gareth Southgate demonstrated was, it's all on me. Protect your staff, protect your people. Then when they know that they are protected, they will flourish because they know that they're allowed to make mistakes. Let's not, we call it OTL, opportunity to learn. Let's not miss. Let this not be a missed opportunity to learn. Let's not miss the learning here.
And I'd just like to add a little bit about if you're feeling a bit of imposter syndrome, or you're frightened, or you're fearing the space. I just want to say something about Humans First, because 2 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting on this call. 2 years ago, I wouldn't be, I would see everybody on this call and I'd go, why am I even here? I did have a slight moment this morning, but because of people like Mike and Gary, and they come to Humans First, yeah. And then I came and I met Tony, who obviously chairs the Monday morning. Monday morning is pretty fab, and it just grows and grows and grows, and you meet more people. I now feel confident in this space. So if you're feeling like that and you're watching, there's an invitation for you to start seeing these people on a regular basis who can really inspire you.
It's a lovely ad, Michelle, and as you can see, the little ticker. Look at me getting all technical.
I know. I'm just looking at that. I thought you should wear the Kellogg's or something.
Gary, I thought I was on Bloomberg when I first joined. That's how good it is. Can I just finally add? In terms of the human value system, I think if leaders start to look at more self-exploration or self-enhancement and even self-recognition for their people, then hopefully that's going to establish a predominant reinforcer for any intrinsic engagement around the behavior itself as well. So we're always going to revert back to the leadership piece. And again, there's so much value in this immediate group, but the wider community of Humans First, where we do share, we collaborate, we open up, and it's paramount, and it's enhanced my life since September 2019. So kudos for everyone within the group.
Especially that bloke. Yeah, he's 16, he's white, and he created it and he had the vision. So no, but I'm not. No, I'm being a little bit frivolous because Mike and I can joke like that. But the point is, Mike is the embodiment of a growth mindset from a part of the world where it'd be very easy to not be that. So you had to go, share a quick story, Mike, like the number of challenges you had actually with building the communities, like why you should be monetizing it, you should be doing this with it. You had a lot of professors of what to do, didn't you, at some point in time?
Oh my gosh, they continue, right? But Gary, as we've discussed before, it was on a weekly basis where I was told I was an idiot so many times, and then when the community started to build, like, well, I know it, I own it, right? It's like that's the magic. It was like I didn't understand business. It was like, well, you don't understand. There's all these people and they're attached, and now there's the opportunity. You turn that into a consultancy. It's like, do you think I don't see that? But that is against the purpose. The purpose is for each of us to find our best selves, connect with others, and then go out and be our own shiny light, not an indoctrination to do one thing. And when it is void of a transaction, it's the hardest thing to do. So I've taken all of my business experience and used it to hold that space open, not fill it. It's to leave it open for everyone, not to fill it. Like, I can fill a space. That's easy, right? Each of us can come in, help keep it open, invite others in, and then they take pieces out and go create bubbles and waves and solar systems and planets, around themselves. And that's the idea. But people wanted to, let's get it contained, make it something, charge for it, where the only investment here is you know, it's an investment of contribution, and care for each other. And so it evolves because of everybody's desire and willingness and openness. And yeah, I've been challenged on a regular basis to do something different with it. And I'm sure someday I might be compelled, but right now, each of you fill my cup every day, and I can't imagine like changing direction at this point.
I've got to chip in, and I'm going to make this public, Vivian, because it's funny. She sent a little private message saying, "Is Mike referring to Bezos and Branson when he talks about orbit?" So we'll come back to that one. Yeah, we've colonized Earth. Let's go and colonize another planet to kill the one we're already on. Brilliant idea. Yeah, well done, lads. Well done.
You're on my ship, Vivian. You're on my ship.
Can I just jump on the back of something that Mike said, because you said it's void of transaction, but actually it's void of financial transaction, because there is so much human transaction that goes in. And this is a plug for the You Belong Here book, because there is so much human transaction and sharing in there. And I'm just going to tell you about my particular chapter, which it says about your heart being rich. And it talks specifically to humans first, what you get out of it without any money exchanging hands, because that is so valuable in itself. So if you haven't got the book, you need to get the book. Mike and Teresa were the main authors there, but there's 32 of us that have contributed to that. Very valuable sharing.
Tony, I love you bring this up, right? Because our plan today wasn't actually to be a huge pitch for humans first. It's very organic how we've flown on it. But I think what's really fascinating for me, though, is, and we spoke about this before, Mike, around the corporate sector. So when we talk about this conversation today, what we learned from the football team, what the lessons for the workplace, what can we try and do as individuals? The huge thing for me in this space that we've spent nearly the last hour is Humans First offers a brave, safe space to go and practice all of these skills and behaviors that we've been speaking about the last 55 minutes, if you don't feel safe to use them in the workplace. So actually see it that way. See Humans First as the practice ground to build your vulnerability, to build courage, to build bravery, to build listening. We've got other incredible human, like Jane Adhead Grant around listening. We've got other people talking about other topics, and everybody's doing this week in, week out, and there's no financial charge. So I just love actually where we've gone with this, and in a way, it's a lovely reminder as to there is a missing step for many people who don't feel safe in a workplace. And I do think Humans First is one example of a safe space to go and explore. And I think, Mike and Tony, you'd value more people from the corporate space in Humans First, I would think, to bring that extra diversity, I would say.
And the message, really, the underpinning message throughout all of this, Gary, is that it's an investment in people. Whether you're the football team, whether you're in the corporate space, business space, you've got to invest in people. The example Mike's just given about the meeting he's having this afternoon is about, and you're saying, people. It's all about people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Is. And I can I add one tiny thing, that Mike met me at, it must have been 5 o'clock your time, wasn't it? Was it 5 o'clock your time in the morning?
Yes.
In a coffee shop?
When I was in Boulder at a wedding.
Yeah, that was commitment. The commitment that Tony, every single week, she's always putting stuff out, she's getting people to share ideas. The commitment of the people of that group is incredible. I won't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, by the way, but I do really admire that Mike did that for me. And I think that's just super generous when he's not getting anything from me other than that, like you say, that human transaction.
Huge.
I thank you for that, and I want to acknowledge that appreciation, but also to point that back at each of you, because truly the work that you do, right, and Vivian's work in honor of the question of Orlando is, "Mommy, are you safe?" Right, and now we're coming into year 2 of a brilliant outpouring and an amazing amount of work. Tony's leadership in kind of putting some structure around what is a community, because, you know, I am an idiot, and we're kind of, that's become another theme. Saint, in contributing to the book, and not only bringing these ideals into his workplace and the creative part of the business and the corporate recruiting piece of the business, but also so vulnerably sharing his personal journey for the benefit of others to learn that growth path, is like, that's just such a gift. And each of you bring your gifts to the table. Gary and I have spent, you know, an enormous amount of time and with the, you know, Value Through Vulnerability podcast that, you know, I got a chance to participate on Gary's platform. And we had so many of these conversations exploring, and Gary does this for free. Gary does this as a gift, sharing to the world. And it's encouragement that we've seen adopted and taken to some degree by many, many people. And so that's the amazing thing, is when we learn to appreciate each other, recognize each other, we can actually see that we're united in our uniqueness. We're not divided by our differences. We're not doing the same thing. We're doing something for the same reason, and that's to better each other and the world around us.
Mike, thank you for that. We're on hour and 1 minute. We could go, like, do you know what? I love that. This has been, I feel totally full. I feel invigorated. I feel challenged in a good way. And I've got a dog just walked through the door. She always pops in when she.
Oh, I love your dog.
Hello,
okay.
Can we see your dog? Because I love.
Winnie's making a last minute appeal. Yeah, there she is. Always comes in inappropriate, not welcome, but hey.
Compassionate.
Live TV. I love live TV. But I just want to wrap up by just saying thank you, every one of you. Really appreciate you, everything you're bringing to the world. It's just amazing. But I just want to invite those again. If you've got to this stage of the conversation, please listen to this back. Press pause. Take notes. What's good? What works for you? What doesn't? Practice. Come to humans first. Like, there is so much gold in this last 60 minutes, and we've used the football of last week as a metaphor, as an example. But I'm just really, really excited to hear what everyone's got as we go into the rest of our days. I'd love you all to share one word to how you're feeling going into the rest of your day, and one invitation to anybody that may be watching this back. What's your invitation for them if they're in a situation and they can see that they're either on one side of the aisle, or they can see there's actually a challenge happening, but they feel scared to challenge it, or they don't know they feel paralyzed because actually they know it's not right, but they don't know how to act in that moment. What's your invitation to them? So one word, how you're feeling going into the rest of your day, and one invitation for those that are watching. So let's go popcorn style. You're all adults. Go on, I'm getting out of the way. Someone jump in.
Energize and educate yourself.
Nice.
I'm always reflective, so I'm going to go with reflective, and I'm going to encourage people to be an ally to somebody that doesn't look like you today.
I'm curious, and I just love to hear some feedback from people who've watched today, and and get in touch.
And for me, stratospheric.
Ooh.
And honestly, open up your hearts to really deep discussions with your team and your friends and family.
I'm really humbled to be with all of you. And I think that's what, like, I'm feeling that. The encouragement is, get your ass off the bench and step onto the field and do something. It's time. It's time.
Love it. And from me, I just feel inspired, and I'm going to take two, like, just buzzing, because this is the first time we've done this, and I think we'll be doing it again. My final invitation is, check your network and your social feeds. Who are you following? Is it all homogenous? Does it all look like just you? Because guess what? Following the murder of George Floyd, and I've shared this story a few times, I checked my LinkedIn. I checked the first 1,000 people of my network. I had 6 black men that I was connected to, or that I was following. Totally unconscious, totally unintentional, but how can I understand the black male experience if I'm not following or connected to black men? So my invitation to you is check your social feeds, check your networks, and get out there. And even if you don't connect with them, follow them. There's plenty of great people out there. I can connect you to them. There's many of them, many amazing black men. And I'm emphasizing black men because we know that they can often be the most ostracized section of society. We've got many great black men as part of Humans First as well. So come learn, come connect. I love all 5 of you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being courageous. Thank you for being you. That's it.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
This is the future of leadership on this screen. You've experienced it the last hour. Come back in 5 years and this is what it's going to be like. This conversation every day, 24/7, as we drive great performance as an outcome. This is the future. Centered
And
around
England will have won the World Cup.
England.
Don't add the football element into this spectrum.
Maybe. Love to you all. Have a great day, everyone.
See you later.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you very much for watching. Connect with these amazing humans offline. And here comes the last little bit about me, if you want to stay on for 2 minutes. If not, have a lovely day. Take care, everyone. Are you someone that leads other human beings and knows in their body that there is a better, more healthy way to organize ourselves in the workplace, but we just don't find the time or just don't find the capacity to be able to reimagine what that could look and feel like? Or maybe you personally have suppressed feeling within the workplace. I did it for many, many years, based on childhood trauma. We don't always realize the power of the stories that we tell ourselves in our mind. And sometimes having third-party support to allow ourselves to think for ourselves, as ourselves, without any interruption, can be the key to unlocking so much potential, both within ourselves, but also in how we lead others. So I'm here, Gary Turner, as someone to offer that space to you as a thinking partner, on demand or over a fixed number of sessions. And should that be of interest to you, please do check out my Calendly link, and I'd love to have an exploratory conversation with you to see if we're a good fit. Until then, I hope you enjoy these insights from my previous podcast engagements.